Thank you. We're meeting 5 days before before the US appeal at the High Court here in London. And I want to remind everyone that Julian won the case on January 4th, and the Trump administration, 2 days before leaving office, lodged the appeal. And Julian's bail application was refused, so he's been in prison, in Belmarsh prison, for over 2.5 years. And we're meeting in this building where the UN met to construct an international rules-based order, one that was founded and centered around human rights. And we're meeting here to denounce the dismantlement of that international rules-based order, a departure from human rights. And that departure is Julian's case is emblematic of that departure. And having lived through what has been done to Julian, I especially have a responsibility to try to make this situation understandable and interpretable to everyone else, because it matters to everyone else. Because what's being done to Julian, his rights that are being violated, they're your rights too. And if he loses this, we all lose. So Julian's, what's being done to Julian is part of a continuum that started with the war on terror, a chipping away at individual rights and freedoms. The Extradition Act that is being used against Julian is actually a tool of the war on terror. It was enacted in 2003 to make it easier to extradite people. And we have to see what is being done to him through the prism of the war on terror, the tools that were developed through the war on terror. Julian was the person who, in our generation, has done the most to expose the war on terror. And the war on terror isn't just about illegal wars. It's not just about institutionalizing torture and rendition. It's about bringing home that dismantlement of our rights. Now, in the last few weeks, the mask has fallen in relation to the case against Julian. It's fallen because there was an article, well, it's been progressively falling over the years. There is no case, as others have said. This is just a naked political persecution. But there was an article published by Yahoo News just a few weeks ago, a 7,500-word investigation, with over 30 sources, named and unnamed, high-level sources from current and past US administrations, from the National Security Council, from the CIA. And that story revealed that the extrajudicial assassination of Julian in London was discussed at the highest levels of the US government, that the 7th floor of the CIA in Langley, which is the director's office, requested sketches and options for how to kill Julian inside the Embassy of Ecuador. They talked about kidnapping him too, about rendition, extraordinary rendition, which is what the CIA developed to kidnap people and take them across jurisdictions, to disappear them and then put them in a black site somewhere. And the embassy was essentially a black site towards the end. I felt that anything could happen there. Julian's lawyers were targeted by name, not just incidentally spied on. There are emails telling the security company to target Gareth Pierce, to target Aitor Martinez, to target Julian's legal team. And their documents were stolen. And Baltasar Garzón's office was broken into, just as the CIA was planning to murder Julian. And our 6-month-old baby's nappy was instructed to be stolen so that they could use that, analyze the DNA to check whether Julian was the father. This is flagrant criminality. We're dealing with criminals who have instrumentalized the law instrumentalized the extradition arrangements with this country and their good relationships with this country to politically persecute an innocent man, a journalist, for doing his job. It didn't start with Julian, and it's not going to end with Julian. This article, which I recommend everyone reads, said that in 2013, the US government was trying to classify Glenn Greenwald and Laura Poitras, and possibly Ewan McCaskill as well, as information brokers in order to treat them as national security threats. That same year, James Rosen from Fox News was described as a co-conspirator because of his dealings with his source at the State Department, who was convicted of espionage. This continuum that from the war on terror, it's not just affecting Julian. It's exposed in the attempted reforms to the policing bill in this country, to the attempted reforms to the Official Secrets Act, to the attempted censorship of the internet. Julian's case is not some sui generis thing. It is emblematic of the society we live in, of the undermining of all our freedoms. But we can win this. It's touch and go, but we can win this if we come together to defend our rights, defend Julian's rights, which is defending our own rights. And all the major human rights organizations, all the major press freedom organizations recognize this. They're all calling for Julian's freedom because they can see that this is an attack on press freedom itself, on individual freedoms themselves. Julian is holding back a tide of authoritarianism, and if we win this, we can push back. But if we don't, we won't.